Hi, I'm still in my life of a showgirl era. I'm not taking my feathers off, even for cooking. Luckily, I found an orange shirt. But today, that's not what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about stuffed cabbage. There are a bunch of different ways to make stuffed cabbage, and I just want to share with you how I do it. Now, the first thing that you need to do for stuffed cabbage is to soften the leaves enough for you to stuff them. And there are two methods. I use the freezer method, which involves putting the cabbage in the freezer and then letting it defrost for a few hours and slowly peeling the leaves back. And then you're able to use them to stuff the meat in. Now, another method would be to boil the cabbage, and this will also soften the leaves. What you do not ever want to do is just take the leaves directly from the cabbage and try stuffing them. The leaves are going to be too tough and it's not going to work. So let me show you over here. I froze my cabbage the night. I froze my cabbage and then I defrosted it. And here the leaves peel off and I'm just patting them dry. And they're all ready for me to stuff. Hope you enjoy. Now I'm going to show you how to prepare the filling for the stuffed cabbage. I like to use a mix of things, and there's so many different opinions and so many different ways to do it, but I just want to tell you what I do. I use ground meat and I use rice, fresh parsley, eggs, and a mix of different spices. I like to use salt, pepper, garlic, paprika, and sumac. Really big shout out to Ruhama's Kitchen for introducing me to sumac because I use it all the time now. So let me see if I could turn the camera around. Oh, no, I can't. So I'll just try to show you the bowl this way of what it all looks like. I use my huge mixing bowl just because it is so much easier for me. And then I prep my spices ahead of time in a little baby bowl. And I sprinkle it on and mix everything together. And then I'm going to show you how to wrap the cabbage and the filling up together. If you've ever made burritos, then you're like 10 steps ahead. If you haven't, don't worry. I'll show you how to do it and how to make it painless. I forgot one of the most important things. I also put either honey or date syrup in my meat mixture, just whatever you have on hand. I just like to add a little bit of that sweetness into my stuffed cabbage. So I almost forgot. Don't you forget it. The next thing I am going to prepare is the sauce. Now, this is why I don't have stuffed cabbage always on my menu. If you are licensed as a Miko, which I am, a micro kitchen, you have to prepare everything the day that you are selling it. So let's say I was making this for myself. I would make the sauce one day, I'd prep the leaves, and I'd have that done the day before so that it's not just an all-day fiddly event. But since I'm doing this for my Miko, everything has to be done today. The cabbage, the leaves, the sauce, the stuffing, the baking, everything. So yeah, that's why I don't often have this on my menu. It just takes me a really long time. For this sauce, I use apples for some sweetness, celery and onions. I use crushed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, some tomato juice, and I also use lemon juice and some honey and brown sugar. And that's how I make a sauce. And then that is going to be what I'm going to put my stuffed cabbage into afterwards. Oh, also very important, some garlic and some salt and pepper, of course. When you look at your cabbage leaf, you're going to notice that it naturally curls up at one end. So you're going to want to have it with the curl facing up. This will make it easier to fold. Also, if you have any parts of the big stem that are sticking out, I just usually take a scissor and I cut it down. So that way it tastes better, it's not so rough, and it's not so chewy. I take my meat mixture and I make it into a log and I put it in the middle but towards the bottom. I start folding and then I take one side and I fold that side in. Then I keep rolling and then I take the other side and fold it in and continue rolling. Now, when I put this in my pan, it's very important to put the seam side down so that it doesn't open. If you leave the seam side up, this could split open and your filling could come out. So make sure to put the seam side down. There are a lot of different ways to roll. If this is not your favorite method, you could try a different way. This is just the way that I found easiest, and I've just found that they stay closed this way. I finished rolling my stuffed cabbages, and I had about 4.5 pounds of meat to 4 cups of rice and 2 heads of cabbage. And from that, I got 9 larger size cabbages, 9 medium-sized cabbages, and a bunch of little teeny ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 medium-sized ones. In addition to that, I also got 20 meatballs. If I had had another head of cabbage, I could have rolled some more, but alas, I did not. I've put my stuffed cabbage into the pot with the sauce, and I put the unstuffed meatballs all around. Now at the bottom of the pan, I put all of the cabbage that I couldn't use for stuffed cabbage. So either the cabbage leaves that ripped or were too small to be used for the cabbage, just get shredded up and put on the bottom. I am going to start this on the stovetop, and then I'm going to pop it in the oven. These are oven-safe pans. Can you make it on the stovetop completely? Sure. Can you make it in the oven completely? Sure. I've done it both ways. Today I'm going to start on the stovetop and then finish off in the oven for about 2. Okay, so now you might be thinking, that wasn't so bad. Why do you only do this a few times a year? And the thing is, I don't just judge my recipes based on how long it takes, although between making the rice, the sauce, prepping the cabbage, doing the meat, this took me at least 4 hours. The issue is the dishes. I like things that clean up really easily. And my friends, this does not. Here we go. I have my huge bowl. I have my cabbage bowl. I have my cutting board. This is not including the the pot I used to make my rice, the pans that I used for putting in the stuffed cabbage, which then when I take them out, I have to wash those. So this washing up is going to be definitely 45 minutes to an hour. So that is a lot for me. But I love stuffed cabbage. It reminds me of my mother. It reminds me of the holidays. It reminds me of fall. And so I do this once or twice a year. Make sure to get it when I sell it because it tastes delicious. Making your own sauce is really the key. Yeah, so have a great fall and happy cleaning and happy eating.